Mabuhay! My name is Isabel, and I'm from the archipelago of 7,107 islands, high tide, 7,108 low tide, the Philippines. And I'm 31. I'm just kidding, I'm 41. I just wanted to see if you'll believe me, because my friends, they ask me, Isabel, what's your secret for looking so young? And I tell them, Hay nako Inday, it's all about moisturizing. That's why I use Dove. Because you're more beautiful than you think. There are many Doves, but my favorite is Dove pomegranate. It smells so good. In Manila, I didn't even know what a pomegranate was. The first time I saw one here in Canada, I said, oh my, all those seeds, so hard to eat. That's why I just put it in my face. So, I've been living here in Vancouver for 8 years now. First 2 years as live-in caregiver for the Choi family. After staying with the Chois, I got an open work permit, so I opened the door of my life. I told myself, this is it, Isabel. This is your chance to find new opportunities. And when I was young, I always said, I want to be on Broadway. So I got a job here at Tim Hortons near the train station. Anyway, last year, my son Miguel, oh my God, Miguel moved here to be with me. He's 15 now. He was barely 7 when I left Manila, but now he's here. My son is here. And after all these years of waiting, this is all that...
Hey, sup? Miguel here. Been in Vancouver for over a year. What's that? Yeah, Vancouver is okay, I guess. Pretty different. Well, very different. Stuff here is crazy expensive. Like 100 times more than in Manila. We stay in the basement, one on 43rd and Free. Actually, I don't know why they call it sweet, but there's nothing sweet about it. Freezing during winter and I can play my music because of Mr. Alcohol. Upstairs complain it's too loud. It's nothing like the place we had in Manila. There we had real windows and overlooks the street. Now the streets overlooks us. Basta, next year I'm turning 16. Can't wait to get a job. Gonna get one of these. Earn a shitload of money and get out of the state. That's all that matters.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning and it's still dark outside. I look at the white beams of the ceiling and I say to myself, where am I? How did I get here? I feel like I'm in the movie of Leonardo DiCaprio. What is that? The one where you're dream of a dream? Alam ko na. I know. Inception! Then I realize, OMG! The dream is real. I have to get ready for work. So I make breakfast for Miguel and me. Spam, fried eggs, garlic rice, and lots of banana ketchup. I'm sure you didn't know you can make ketchup out of bananas though. Only in the Philippines. Because all the bananas in the world come from us. After cooking, I shower quickly. By 6, I'm out of the house to get to work. Miguel doesn't wake up till 8. Ay nako. Actually, I don't know what time the boy goes to bed. I have a second job at a grocery on Broadway. And I'm there until 10 p.m. By that time, I get home, Miguel in his bed with his headphones on. He always says he's doing his homework, but I think it's just watching videos. But what can I do? Teenagers these days. Sometimes, I want to go into his room and just ask him, how was your day, anak? How's school? After a whole day of speaking in English, how would you make your coffee? 2 creams and a sugar. Would you like a plastic bag? After a whole day of all that nonsense, I'd like to come home and hear his voice, to speak in Tagalog, so that I could be home again.
Get home after school yesterday, and I was starving. Opened the fridge. Bagels and tuna salad, and leftover spam. I hate tuna salad. I'm sick of bagels. I want rice, and sinigang, or adobo, or caldereta. But I can only cook these dishes on Sunday. Her day off. She had made a whole pot, and we had eaten it the whole week. But today is Thursday, and there's none left. That's what the tuna salad is for. In Manila, when I lived at my lola's, my grandmother's, every night we would have at least 3 dishes. My lola loved to cook. My cousin Julian and Susan and Uncle Alex live there too. Julian is a year older than me, and Susan is, I think, 8. Anyway, Uncle Alex works at a call center, graveyard shift. His is a customer service representative for TELUS. You know, when you call to complain about your cell phone bill and you call TELUS, and you think you're calling someone who is in Surrey or New West, but the truth is, you're talking to my Uncle Alex in Manila. They are trained to speak in a Canadian accent. Like, how can I help you today? Let me adjust that bill for you. The other day, he told me that a customer was being friendly and said something about the Canucks game the night before. And he said, oh yeah, of course, the Canucks. My uncle hasn't watched a single hockey game in his life. If he saw a puck, he had think it was a paperweight. Uncle Alex has dinner with us before he leaves for work. It had always been so noisy around the dining table. We have been talking about our day, joking around, and Lola keep on topping up our plate with food. Man, I'm hungry. Now, I go into our soup, and all I have is tuna salad and the TV. I don't know any of the neighbors, so I spent the rest of the evening playing GTA. And the best part is that I got me these kick-ass headphones last Christmas so that Mr. Rahagopal upstairs would stop complaining about his noise. So that means I could play until 2 in the morning. Completely unaffected. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yesterday, I had a really bad episode at work. I had very little sleep the night before because I did the laundry and there was just so many to wash. Anyways, there was this woman who ordered a dozen donuts and I mixed up with her order and gave her scones instead. If you ask me, I was doing her a favor by not giving her those donuts. Really? Anyway, she had to walk back several blocks with her little daughter to tell me I made a mistake. Of course, I kept on saying, sorry. She wasn't rude or anything. In fact, when I handed her the donuts, she smiled and apologized again. But then, when I started to head out, she turned to her daughter and said,
That is the reason you need to study hard, my love. Because otherwise, you'll end up just like her.
I froze. Just like her? The words echoed on my mind the whole day as I served these sausage biscuits and maple donuts and swiped cans of beans and corn and handed out plastic bags. Just like her. What does it mean to be just like me? When I got home, all I wanted was to see Miguel, to hear his voice. I wanted to find in his face some sign that I've made the right choices. You know, that I've been a good mother, that I wasn't just like her. I knocked on his door. Miguel? A knock? But he was asleep.
Couldn't sleep last night. It's exactly a year today since I last saw Itay, my father. Oh, I wonder how he is. If he thinks of me, sometimes. When I was living with my Lola and Inay was here in Canada, my father worked in Cavite, 40 kilometers away from my Lola's place. He had a sales job there, and because traffic is really bad, he rented a room in Cavite and left me with my Lola. He would go see me on Saturdays, and sometimes he'd stay until Sunday. I remember he used to say, "Don't worry, anak, we will see your Inay soon. Just wait." And next thing you know, you will be playing in the snow and eating spaghetti and meatballs every day. Every night, I would wait for the phone to ring, for Inay to call and say, "Miguel, come to Canada tomorrow." But as years went by, and as I waited for that particular phone call, I began to see less and less of my father as well. At first, he'd say he had to work overtime, that they needed him to work Saturdays. Sometimes, it'd be because of the traffic. But you know, even if he didn't come, I knew that just like me, he waited for Inay.
Roberto? I can't wait for the time when my blood doesn't boil every time I think of that son of a bitch. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I allowed to say that here? But yes, I guess there's no better way to refer to him. Or wait, maybe asshole? 10 years ago, when Miguel was 5, I was teaching English at public high school, and Roberto was a med rep, you know, a salesperson for pharmaceuticals. He'd go to doctors and talk about his new wonder drug and how it will cure everything from migraines to acne. Anyway, we realized at one point that no matter how hard we worked, what we were earning would never be enough to send Miguel to a good university or to buy a house. At first, Roberto didn't like the idea. Nakakahiya, he would say. It's embarrassing. What would the neighbors say? A teacher going abroad to be a caregiver in someone's house? I told him, Roberto, there's no space for Hiya here.
I know, I really should do it. But who cares about that? Even if you don't get
days when he and Miguel were together. But then, sometimes, when Roberto would come to Manila, on the same morning, I called every other week. Then, it became once more. Every night before going to bed, I would look at our family picture. The last Christmas that I spent with them. And think about how happy we were. I realized that it was a little homesickness. This is for your family. This is for them.
Finally got the family visa for us from over, we had to wait another year to get the money ready for our tickets and stuff. Things were kinda okay the first couple of months we were here. Everything was so new and different. Snow, routine, chapado. Weather got colder and colder, though temperatures at home got hotter and hotter. Inay and Itay started fighting a lot, and it was always about money. I could never hear everything at the start because they used to fight in their room. Then, later, they had fight in the living room. I woke up and went to get some juice in the kitchen, and I saw that things were missing. The TV, the microwave. I ran to my parents' room to tell them, Inay, Itay, we've been robbed. Call 911. But all I found was Inay sitting at the foot of the bed crying. The closet was open and my father's clothes were gone. I haven't seen him since.
The moment I saw them at the airport, I ran and I hugged Miguel so tight. I think he couldn't breathe. I was afraid people would call 911 and report me for child abuse. I hugged Roberto, and then we headed for the sky train with all the luggage and sat in front, while he and Miguel were looking outside the window to see what Vancouver was like. I remember looking at my son, and then him, this man, my husband, the mole on his right cheek, his mustache, his pointy ears. I recognized all of this, but then I realized that there was also a part of him I didn't recognize anymore. And although I couldn't put my finger on it, I knew something has changed.
Things change so much here. The weather, the seasons. One day, you're at your lola's, where it's always sunny and you have so much fun. Next thing, you're in a city trapped in a basement and it just keeps raining. Your voice changes, your body changes, and you feel just like a pancake at IHOP. Your whole world flipped upside down.
So of course, I took them downtown and I showed them Gastown, Yaletown, and my personal favorite, Metrotown. Everything was new and exciting at first, but then things changed when Roberto, no matter how hard he tried, couldn't find a job. He didn't want to do something like Tim Hortons. He thought it was beneath him. I'd tell him, but this is how it works here. We need Canadian experience. Nakakahiya, he'd say, and we'd always end up fighting. Anyway, one night, this was like a year ago, he came home drunk. As I led him to bed and drove closer to him,
Roberto, sabihin mo nga sa akin ng totoo. Tell me the truth.
that moment I couldn't think straight. After all these years walking here in Canada, giving up my hiya to care for him, for our son, this is how he repays me?
Lumayas ka dito. Leave us. Don't ever come back.
All her fault. Why Itay left? She's always saying, Roberto, you have to do this. Roberto, why don't you do that? It's the same way with me, and she drives me nuts. Miguel, study hard, do the dishes, just eat your tuna salad and stop complaining. Next year, when I'm 16, I'm gonna find a job and make my own money, so that I don't have to hear her say, money doesn't go to please Miguel, and how she sacrificed her life for me, but living so far away from me, not being able to see me for 7 fucking years. Tell me, didn't she sacrifice me too?
Sacrificio. Sacrifice. This is what it's all about, right? Blessed are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. That's what Father de la Cruz used to keep on telling us at our parish in Malaban when I was growing up. I had this image of heaven in my head. Everything was gold. The walls, the curtains, and there would be food everywhere, and snow. The angels would be flying around, and we'd all be dressed in white. So when I thought of coming to Canada, I thought, what's a few years of sacrifice if I could do it for a better life, for my son? Nap, tomorrow, Inay is going somewhere, okay? I'm going to find us a new house where everything is gold, with lots of food, and where they have snow. While he lay there, I looked at my son's face, his eyes, his cheeks. I know that tomorrow, if he saw me crying when I left, he would cry too, and I wouldn't be able to leave. So the next day, before he woke up, I kissed him on the forehead. I was crying all the way to the airport. I was crying on the plane. Sometimes I feel I haven't stopped crying.
Sometimes, I feel this is when I started remembering things so clearly. That morning, when I left.
That must be Canada. That's where Inay said she was going. Where is Inay, Lola? I wanted to go with her to Canada.
Miguel, your Inay has left.
Left? Where? Aren't we going to go with her?
No, Canada is so far away. This morning, you Ty took her to the airport.
To the airport? Why didn't you take me?
Oh, we don't allow kids at airport.
Why didn't you say goodbye?
You were still asleep. And she didn't want to wake you.
But I wanted to see her.
Soon, Miguel, you'll see her soon.
Soon, anak. Soon. I promised you, life will be better. For you, for both of us. Soon.
That time, my mother left when I was 7. Soon became days, weeks, months. At 7, I realized a very painful truth. My mother had abandoned me, and as the years went by and her image began to fade, I could no longer remember what it was like. The way she touched my cheeks, the feel of her hands.
Just wait, anak. Soon, everything will be alright.
Inay, all these years I've been waiting. Tell me, please tell me, when does soon begin?